So do you have a site already, or you building one, or what's going on?
Embarrassingly enough, yeah, I have a site. Um, ever since do you remember the site Build It? Um, I tried having a site with them years ago, and that's when I was first learning about keywords and SEO. And then I eventually moved to WordPress through Copyblogger.
Okay.
But they blow. My site and my wife's sites blow.
Okay. Well, there's always a website's never finished. There's always more we can do, no matter how good the site is.
Yeah, yeah. I remember I was at a Copyblogger event in Denver one year. I think his name was Michael King. He does website audits, and I he had a great speech. I understood like maybe 2% of it, but I understood I was getting a glimpse of how much there is to know about having a really well developed site and how to audit it and how to do that on a regular basis to just, but it was way above my head and still is, but it's amazing how much there is to know about it. It's,
Hmm.
do you
Oh
enjoy
yeah.
it after all these years?
Oh yeah. Yep. It's like figuring out a puzzle.
That never ends. Pieces just
Yeah.
keep adding and changing.
Hmm. Yeah, it's fun. I,
So,
I like it. I'm a geek.
so there was always that for a long time that talk about gaming the search engines, but then I heard that the search engines just got too sophisticated for gaming. So, what is your focus in how to create search engine results?
Well, I've never believed that gaming was a viable strategy.
Hmm.
It's always a short-term approach that would bite you in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've always been pearly white hat.
So is that based on content with the right keywords or?
Well, I mean, there's a lot. Hey, Stephen.
Yeah.
Um, so keywords is a part of the whole equation, and so as more people join on, I'll explain kind of the framework of SEO.
Okay.
You've got content optimization, you got link building, you have technical SEO where you're shoring up the infrastructure and the underlying architecture of the website.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot to do.
Cool. Thank you.
That's
How
why
are you?
there's 1,000-page book on it.
I yeah, I just downloaded the sample after you mentioned it. I haven't had a chance to dive into it. It kind of scared me. Stephen,
It's
are you
definitely,
feeling better?
yeah, much better. Thank you.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's it. Life is good now.
Awesome.
Hey, Jennifer,
Hi.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
Hey.
how are
Sorry,
you?
I'm just don't mind me. I'm good. I guess we're in the hot seat today when Stephen gets going, but I'm in the audience. So
Yep.
carry on.
Okay. It's Stefan, by the way. We have a
Stefan.
Stephen
Oh,
here, but
okay.
I'm the Stefan in the room.
Okay. It's always pronounced differently for different people, so I
You had to
apologize.
correct me on it too, Jennifer, just
Okay.
so you know. And he has
Because
my name, so he had to correct a guy with his own name on it. Then
Oh boy.
Well, AN is usually pronounced Stefan, and EN is
Okay.
even if it's PHEN, Stephen. Yeah.
so Stefan,
So
I have some immediate questions, if you don't mind.
yeah, sure. Shoot.
I'm curious. I'm actually here because I don't know what an SEO is. I was thinking. Uh, my first thought is can you use it to brand like if you're branding yourself as a person, if you're like creating content, creating music, writing a book or something like that, like how is this used? If
Yeah.
you're
So if you're trying to brand your company, you personally, a new product or service, then SEO is relevant in that you want to control the narrative or the this first set of search results that appear for a query on Google for that brand. If somebody's Googling for Stephen Harms, what do they get? What do they see? Do they see, for example, a knowledge panel over on the right-hand side? Do they see your LinkedIn #1 or your website #1?
Nothing, because I
Do
have
they-
nothing. I don't have
Well-
LinkedIn, and I don't have a website, and I barely have any YouTube videos. And the ones that I do have, somebody else posted. My Instagram was started by my ex-girlfriend. My Facebook was started by my ex-wife. So I don't have control of any of that stuff because it was all started for me.
So you don't have access to your own Instagram or Facebook or anything?
I don't think I do. I wouldn't even know how to shut it off or restart it or clean it up or any of that stuff.
That's interesting. Well, people are Googling you.
How do
They
you
are
know that?
typing in Stephen Harms into Google.
Well, I'll interrupt for 2 seconds and just add some validity to what you're saying. Is I did have to search for you, Stephen, when I did your little bio for the portal, and it was tough to get a lot of context about your work and who you are. There wasn't a lot out there. So go ahead, Stefan. I was just confirming.
Yeah. Certainly people are going to be doing their due diligence about you, Stephen. If they are going to invest an hour into attending your show, which is what, Wednesdays, is it? Or
Yeah,
Thursdays?
I haven't been doing it because I've been sick, and
Right.
now even by the way, Jennifer, I'm just not ready to do it tomorrow. I mean, I'm well enough to do it tomorrow, but I don't have anything to present.
Okay.
So I'm still trying to figure out like what I want the show to be now that I'm coming back out of the fog. I'm not really sure about like what it is that I'm doing. I'm writing a book, and I do want to teach the class, and I still am teaching voice, and I still have several students through Zoom. But I'm not really sure, and I'm taking Sandy's branding class, and that's going really, really well. But I'm not really sure how to set up how I want myself to be presented through the computer, through LinkedIn, through what I guess what you call the SEO, search engine optimization. I don't know what I want people to find, and I don't know what they find now when they look.
That's pretty easy. You just Google for your name, and we can do that now. I'll share my screen.
Yeah, Stephen,
You'll
when
need to enable screen sharing, Jennifer.
Yeah, Stephen, when we met my first week in Meadow, and you reached out to me, that's immediately what I did is I Googled you, and classic, like the most things I could find with you was through the LA Opera.
Right. That
Right.
makes sense.
And so I just got a taste of you. Then when we chatted, it gave me a little bit more of a taste.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, so people are Googling you to figure out who you are, whether they should work with you, whether they should attend your free class, or your if you do a webinar, or if you have really anything that would be a trial of your services. Let's say an initial lesson. You know how we went with coaches, they give you a free initial session, usually called a strategy session or strategy call, and mostly it's a sales call. But people are going to invest time into doing that, so they're going to be very careful about who they commit to sign up for that.
See,
And so they're going
I
to
need
Google
to get
you.
on this like Prano, huh, Stefan?
Yeah, I mean, the sooner the better. And you know the adage that done is, or let's say, perfect is the enemy of done. Right. So if you keep thinking, I want to figure out what I want to be when I grow up, I want to figure out my messaging, and I want to do all this stuff and prepare, and then I'll set up my LinkedIn, and then I'll set up a website, and then I'll go and claim my Facebook or try and get it from my ex-wife or whatever. Like, that is getting in the way. It's procrastination. It's a way to not do anything at all.
Well, if I made Jennifer's job hard to search for me, then I probably could make anybody's job hard. Because that's
Well,
what
it's
she
easy to
does.
search for you. It's hard to find meaningful information that helps them make a buying decision.
Okay. So is there a process for this?
Well, yeah. So if you are looking to just do kind of a brand SERP SEO, a SERP is search engine results page. So you're trying to control the brand SERP. Then yeah, that's going to be something that is kind of a stage 1 for you, and then you're going to figure out what stage 2 would be. Maybe it's to build a website and have I don't know, some content that's on a blog that targets different keywords, and then you're going to research which keywords are the right ones. You're going to come up with an editorial calendar. Like all that sort of stuff will come after you figured out what the brand SERP should look like. And so I'm looking at the brand SERP, search engine results page for your name right here. And you don't have a website ranking number 1. There's the LA masterchorale.org website. Is that a site that you have any influence over?
No. I've never marketed myself. I've never even made business cards or a website. But I'm part of something called the LA Master Chorale, which is a professional singing group in LA.
Okay. So you do have a relationship with them if you wanted to have this information changed.
Yes, I could
Like
change that information if I wanted.
Okay. So if you wanted to have some additional details or different photo, or
Yes.
notice this isn't even clickable. If somebody wanted to watch this Vimeo video, they would have to copy and paste this into the browser instead of just clicking on it.
I see.
Same with the email address. That should be clickable. I should be able to click on it, and then it opens up email client, and I can start writing an email.
But you can't do that.
No.
No.
So you could ask them to make some changes to this so that it's more favorable when people land here, to get them to take a positive action and work with you.
Yeah, I've never taken this seriously, Stefan. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, well, other people are, because 2 people that are out of the 3 of us have Googled you. So that's more than an anomaly.
Okay, that's a fair statement.
So then you got the LA Opera, and you could do the same thing with them, because surely you have a relationship with them. And you could say, hey, I would really love for you to change this or add this or whatever. And worst case scenario, they say no. Okay.
Right.
But you don't ask, you don't get. Next is your LinkedIn. Is this your LinkedIn, or is this somebody else?
I'm not from New York, New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a different.
That's not me.
No, that doesn't look like you. So that's not you. Here's somebody else who's another not you.
Me also.
So your LinkedIn isn't showing.
Not here.
Doesn't take long to sign up to LinkedIn.
Well, I have a LinkedIn account. I don't know how it got started, but it's there.
Okay. So let's Google it. Or not Google it. Let's search inside of LinkedIn, because Googling it doesn't bring it up. So
Wow, you're fast at this.
So these are all the Stephen Harms out there.
Stefan, just by the way, I'm loving this. I'm loving this, that you're doing this.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So please just continue.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this is you don't even need to have a website yet. You can still impact what people see just by thinking about, what social profiles do I need to start or clean up or revise with additional detail that has some good keywords in it and is compelling and calls them to take an action.
Yeah, I really need help with this for sure. It looks like I don't really exist.
and you can get profile pieces written about you, and it's not hard. Like there's this site called ideamensch.com. You can submit an interview to the site. It's very simple, straightforward.
Huh.
So there's a link down in the bottom here to do that somewhere. Where is that?
Ooh, awesome
They revised the
application.
site, so I'm gonna dig around for it. Okay, here we go. So this is the form or questionnaire. 15 questions to answer. Your favorite quote. What's the best $100 you've spent, et cetera, and another metal brother did this not too long ago. Ali Naj, I'm going to butcher his last name, Najafian. And I should know better how to pronounce his last name because he was a client. Trendy Butler was a client for a while. But yeah, this is something that he just did on his own. Submitted the questionnaire, and then they published it, and it ranked on page 1 for his name for a while. I don't know if it still does, but let's have a look. Yeah, it's not on page 1. I'm looking at 100 results per page, not just 10. So let's see here. Oh, I was going to look for ideamensch. That's right. Okay, so it's not ranking anymore, but it did rank for a while. So that's just an example of a place that you could get a kind of a puff piece written about you, where it's just you answering some questions. It doesn't have to be just social profiles. In other words, it can be social profiles plus feature stories or interviews or podcast episodes where you were on somebody's podcast. It's another thing you can do is just start asking to be on people's podcasts.
I've done a few of those. If you were me, like, where would you start today? Like, what would I do today? Since you're big on doing something now. So
take control of your social profiles. Contact your ex-girlfriend, your ex-wife, and say, "Hey, I really want my my passwords to my
Facebook,
social account. So can you?"
Well, they probably don't know them.
Well, then you maybe can try resetting the password, and maybe it will go to either your email address or to hers, and you can.
What about starting over? What about actually just forgetting about any Instagram that's already up, since I don't really care about it, and any Facebook that's already up because I don't care about it? I mean, I would love to keep my friends, but I mean, but I can go through my whole Facebook file and redo it, correct?
Yeah, but it's best to have the URL like facebook.com/Stephen Harms if you had that, or whatever that custom URL was. It would be good to be able to keep it and not just lose it.
Yeah, I don't know what I have now.
Well, we can check. So I'm just on LinkedIn, and I'm gonna look right now. Oh, there's Will. Hey, Will. And you are on mute.
You got Stephen, you got a great Facebook page. Beautiful image.
You do?
Yeah. Beautiful image.
Afternoon, Stephen.
You have 758 friends on your Facebook page.
I see.
So actually, I'm going to just search for you on Facebook.
Okay.
It's under Stephen A. Harms. Stephen.A.Harms.
See, that's a problem too. I should probably change that too, right? Because nobody knows me as Stephen A. Harms.
Well, I just looked Stephen Harms and you popped up. I saw your image and I clicked it.
So you do have a custom URL here, Stephen A. Harms, but I bet somebody else has Stephen Harms.
Yeah.
Somebody else does, and then it redirects to Stephen.harms. So this guy already locked up that URL. That's okay. You've got Stephen.a.harms. That's not bad. So yeah, you would want to get the password for this.
Hmm.
And this is something that can occupy a slot on page 1 in Google for your name. And then if you put stuff in here that kind of showcases your work, your expertise, your unique ability, that would be great.
Hmm.
And you probably have a lot of people who have sent you friend requests and they got crickets back.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So I would take the effort of either resetting your password or getting the just try to get control of that account back.
Okay.
Is my baby.
By the way, Chuck, thank you for all your encouragement. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Here, I'm gonna say goodbye to good night to my little one.
Steven, I'm going to try and add you as a friend right now to see if you get some kind of request in your email or
I think I
somewhere.
do.
So that might help. So I just friend requested you right now.
You just sent me a friend request. Look at
Yeah.
that.
To see if you get some kind of ping or something.
So, Will, what you missed was we were looking at Steven's brand SERP, search engine results page. He doesn't have a website, but people are Googling him. Case in point, Jennifer and Chuck both Googled him before, and he didn't even know that. And what you find in the search results for his name is not really the best kind of first impression. It's not a bad first impression, but it doesn't sell his expertise as a voice coach.
Yeah.
So I hope that was helpful, Stephen.
No, it is helpful. Thank you.
So yeah, I would definitely go through the process of building up your social accounts. Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn would be the 3 main ones I would start with. And think in terms of somebody lands there, how are they going to kind of judge you or suss you out in terms of whether they could get value from working with you.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to look at the metal site and tear that apart in a gentle way.
Let me go and get my crash helmet, my my bodysuit.
Yeah. No, I'm going to be super gentle, but it's going to be very to the point.
Stefan, I know you and I love you, and it's what they call tough love.
That's right.
You know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So let's have a look. First of all, if somebody Googles metal, what do they see? Probably nothing to do with Metal International, because it's a very generic keyword. Covers everything from names of supermarkets to the actual material to the dictionary entries and things like that. So we're not seeing metal.international in the first 10 pages of search results.
Okay.
So if somebody says, I couldn't find you by Googling for metal, that would be why. You're going to have to tell people not to Google metal, but Metal International. Do people think of metal as Metal International, or do they think of it just as metal?
That's a really good question. Seeing as we don't really want the public at large to be Googling us. Right?
Here's the problem, though, and I totally get where you're coming from.
Right.
I've had conversations just like this with people who have family offices. You know what a family office is?
Yeah.
So they're dealing with billionaires, and they don't even want a presence on Google.
Mhm.
They want to be invisible. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Billionaires are going to do their due diligence about you before they even pick up the phone to call you. What are they going to find? You better curate what those results are. Otherwise, it's just going to be random, or worse, a competitor maligning you.
Right.
If you have no presence, you're very susceptible to getting negative SEO attacked.
Got it.
So somebody's probably not going to find much searching for metal, but if they were referred to you without the URL, or somebody mentioned I'm in the metal group or mastermind or whatever, they would be putting in who knows what. We don't know what that is yet. We'd have to actually ask around, but is it mastermind? Is it group? Is it men's group? Is it international? I would guess it's not international. I've never, until I heard the URL metal.international, I never thought of international as part of your name. Those two words never collided for me. So Metal Mastermind isn't pulling up in the first 10 pages metal.international. How about metal group? There, it shows up for metal group. But you're not helping yourself in terms of trying to rank for these keywords like men's group, mastermind, and so forth, because your title on the homepage, the page that ranks, the most important page as far as Google's concerned, doesn't have anything other than Metal International. So men's group, masterminds, events, or whatever the keywords are that you're trying to rank for, workshops, I don't know. It'd be good to be like workshopping this with some of the guys and say, hey, what did you search for when you tried to find information about us? Like, how do you word or phrase the group to your friends who you want to recommend that they check it out and maybe join? Right, so you could do a little impromptu focus group over Zoom and get people to share their thoughts around that. So putting some additional words in the title is a good start to helping you rank for some of these other keywords like metal men's group or metal mastermind. Maybe brotherhood is a word that they use. I don't know. You do have that in the text of the page, but you don't have it in the title tag. So let's see if you're in the first 10 pages for Metal Brotherhood. Nope. So you even had the word brotherhood in the page because you can see it here. It might just be in the meta description. We'll take a look. But see, Metal International is a brotherhood of diverse media entertainment, ... He is an experienced personal growth leader specializing in men's group work. That looks like it's text from the page and not a meta description. Let's take a look. So isn't that funny? You're not in the first 10 pages in Google for Metal Brotherhood. The only people who are going to search that are people who were told about you.
Right.
Probably by a metal brother. I think you do want to show up for that, right? Would you say that's correct?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want to show up for those sorts of keywords, you wouldn't have a website. Kind of like the adage, if a tree falls in the forest, did it make a sound? Do you guys know what the right answer is to that question, by the way? I recently learned the right answer to that.
Which is?
No, it didn't. It made a vibration, but there was no ear to hear it, to turn that vibration into a sound. So if you build a website and nobody visits it, nobody can find it, was it even worth investing the time and the energy and the money into building that site? Maybe not. There's no ear to hear it. There's no eye to see it, to experience it, to
Right.
consume the information. It's really only there to make you guys feel better that you did it. All right, so let's look in the HTML source to see if there's a meta description, because that would influence the likelihood that Google's going to display that snippet with information that you want to have show up there. So let's have a look. Open graph description, Twitter description, those are both blank. And meta description is blank, yeah. So I don't know why you guys defined that and then decided to make it blank, but meta description, that's what would have shown up in the snippet, most likely. It's not always, but most likely it would have shown up. And you could have had something really compelling, something that would invite people to click, because there's something intriguing. It creates a curiosity gap. It delivers a value proposition that intrigues and inspires and compels people. And you could have done something similar with your Facebook Open Graph description. You don't have an Open Graph title either, and you don't have a Twitter description or Twitter title. So when somebody shares your URL, your homepage URL in Twitter or in Facebook, it's going to be blank, which isn't ideal. That's not an SEO tip. That's just a social media tip. Populate those fields with a good title and description, so that when somebody...
You're not seeing any other screens apart from the Metal homepage at the moment. I don't know if you...
You're not?
No.
So you're not seeing... You're not... Really?
You're seeing the homepage of Metal.
Oh, because I
Did you share the screen or did you share the app?
I shared the screen.
Okay. Do you have more than the screen? So it might be that.
Maybe I shared just the app then, or just that one window. Interesting. Okay. So share. I want to share the entire desktop.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure, you bet.
Between what Will was saying about maybe not wanting to be found by everyone, and
That's
how
right.
you're saying protect, but it's good to protect the digital space property of Metal. I remember there was a theme about an open secret. There was a phone book that led to a telephone booth that led to a restaurant, and you had to know about the telephone booth to go into the restaurant. What if you create the digital presence for Metal, but it's still kind of there to protect the digital footprint, but it's still kind of an invitation process that Metal Brothers give the login or the URL or the Twitter or the social media links to the people that they want to invite? Could it manage both sides of that? So that it's not easily found by Google or search engines or social media, but you're still protecting the digital intellectual property, and it's allowing Will and Ken to have it as this exclusive by invitation only, not algorithmic invitation to the group. Is that possible to provide for both of those desires? Or did I just go off the rail?
Or is that really even something that you wanted to do, to make it hard for people to find Metal?
No, we would want to have it searchable by the right kind of guy for sure.
Okay, I apologize. Sorry.
Stefan?
Even if it shows up for the wrong kind of guy, you can't make the site invisible to somebody who's not got integrity or something. But what you can do is just have a rigorous vetting process.
Yep.
And that's what you do have. So I wouldn't be concerned that you're showing up in Google or being shared on social media, I would actually encourage that, because that will mean you're casting a wider net for even higher quality guys.
Right.
So here is you're seeing the HTML code now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why it doesn't let me choose to share my entire desktop, but that's not apparently an option. This isn't my Zoom account. This is your guys' Zoom account. I don't have any problem with that, but maybe it's just the sharing privileges. It's kind of weird. So anyways, I'll have to unshare and reshare the non HTML source window when we're done with this. But you see here is the meta description, and it's blank. Content equals nothing. And here's the Facebook Open Graph description. Again, content equals nothing. And the Facebook Open Graph title is just set to the word home, which is essentially nothing. And then same thing with Twitter.
And
Okay, so
and those are changed on the Facebook page and on the Twitter page.
no, those are changed in the in the back end of this site. So the site is WordPress. I'm guessing, is that right?
It's related to WordPress. It's a CMS system by HubSpot.
Can I have a question about this.
Okay.
We haven't decided officially whether or not we want to have a presence on Facebook. There's only an old presence that has nothing to do really with who we are now. And we don't have an official Metal Twitter or Instagram. And so how should we handle that?
Oh, that's a great question. So the fact you don't have an official Twitter or Instagram makes you a target to cyber squatters.
Okay.
Right? If you decided we don't want to register a domain name because we don't want to have a presence on the web, well, you're just asking somebody to do that for you and offer the domain name at a very, very high markup. And they can do the same thing with social accounts. So if you use a tool like NameCheck, namechk.com, and you put in your username, let's say it's metal INTL or international, all spelled out, it will check all of the different social platforms to see if that username is available or if it's already been registered. Apparently it's already registered. Well, this could be an error code of some sort on Etsy, but it looks like it's available on everything but Twitter and TikTok. Twitter and TikTok, it's too long. So we could switch to INTL and then see if that's available. So let's say that somebody decided that they didn't like you. They got booted out of Metal, and they're like, okay, I'm going to teach these Metal guys a lesson. And then they go and they register all the username Metal INTL and Metal International on all the social platforms before you got a chance to do it, before you decided what your social strategy was. You guys just got screwed over. So we don't want to have that happen. We want to proactively control that, even if we don't intend to use it.
So basically, we would just create those accounts, even if they're not populated.
Yeah, for sure. To block someone else from registering them, because there's no charge. It's free. There's no barrier to entry for somebody to set up a URL, facebook.com/Metal International or Metal INTL or whatever. Yep. Okay, so what's the main objective that you as an organization have for your website?
Jennifer?
I think there's I would say that there's two. We want relevant men to find our website and to show up on a Saturday and then to become members or go through the process of being vetted to become a member. And then it also seems important for the metal community, the guys who are already members, to have access to a website so they can show their friends and talk about what they're doing. So it's a way for us to tell our story.
Okay. All right. So is it working effectively from that standpoint? Are you getting positive feedback from the Metal Brothers that they're able to tell the story of metal to their male friends?
I
Or
have,
does
yeah, a lot of the guys have been saying that now at least we have a website that they're not embarrassed to show their friends, and now they aren't embarrassed to invite high profile people because our online presence looks like it has more integrity. And so I feel like we're getting close to that goal. However, I don't think that we're in a place where it's something searchable that people are just going to organically find, that the right guy is organically going to find this website and then show up.
Yeah. Well, first we got to crawl before we walk, and then we can run. So that'll come. But first we need to make sure that the Metal Brothers who could be referring very high level male friends to and colleagues and acquaintances to the group will do so, and will use the website as a way to facilitate that process.
That's right.
So I think that's the crawling stage. And
Okay.
does this effectively do that? I have referred you guys to some of my friends and clients, and I have shared I shared the URL of the guest like guest ticket page, which I guess the URL had changed and now it's a 404 error. Did you guys fix that so it's 301 to the correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, good. And so I didn't refer people directly to the homepage, in part because it's not straightforward how to like what the funnel is. So the experience above the fold should convey, I mean, above the fold, I mean, before people scroll, should convey what's in it for me, who you guys are, like your like raison d'etre, and what my next action is. Oh, and should convey some social proof while you're at it. So there's no social proof here. These guys could be like stock photo people. We don't know who any of these people are. You didn't label any of them, and they're not like recognizable folks. I don't see any social proof in terms of as seen on ABC, NBC, whatever. I also don't see a clear next action for me to take as somebody new who is not familiar with your organization. So the likelihood that I'm going to continue, even though I'm not drawn in yet, if I'm going to continue by scrolling, is drastically reduced. There's no reason why this request to guest pass couldn't be here on top of the photo. But then, is this really an effective statement as to why you guys exist and how someone of high caliber would want to join, and what they would get out of it? Oh, and did you notice here, Metal Hero 1 New? That's the alt text of your image. So if somebody mouses over the image, that's what they're seeing. That's kind of like the the inner plumbing of the site. You don't want to show that. You want to show something value added, like maybe the names of these people, if they're willing to have you share that. In fact, you might even put that on the image itself. There's awesome and so forth. I don't know if they would be happy to give you permission to do that, but I would certainly ask. Where men connect, support, and grow together. That could be anything. That could be an AA group. It could be like a domestic abuser group. It could be a cult. It could be a mastermind. It could be a church group. It could be anything.
Mhm.
I would, again, focus group this with some folks who aren't familiar with metal and ask them to give you feedback on what their first like impression is landing on this homepage. So what is this page about? From Google's perspective, let's take a look. I'm going to use a tool called Google Cloud Natural Language API. It's a free tool. Well, the service is paid, but you can use the free demo right here. Just delete this text in the box there and replace it with the copy on the homepage. Did you notice, by the way, the title here is just the word home? I'm guessing you don't want to rank for the word home by itself, that you want to have better keywords in there. When I saw the Google search listing, I thought your title tag was Metal International, but it's not even that. Google replaced the word home with Metal International because Google thought this was such a terrible title, it decided to overwrite it with its own. They definitely clean that up. It takes probably half a minute to do. So I'm going to copy all of the text on this page, hit Command C or Control C if you're on a PC, and then I'm going to Command V, paste it into this little box. So there's all the text from the home page, and I'm going to hit Analyze, and I'm going to see what the AI at Google thinks of this copy in terms of what's the topic or topics. They're called entities by Google, and what the salience score of each of those entities is. So what is it about? What's this homepage about as far as an AI, the Google AI is concerned? And to what degree of certainty is it that it's really about that thing?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's mostly about Ken Rutkowski. It's mostly about him, and then to a much, much less degree, members and leaders and passion and brotherhood. But these scores of salience are really, really small, 0.02. So it's tiny.
Mhm.
Where is like a men's group or mastermind or any of the kinds of terms that your audience, your target audience, would be typing in? Yeah, it's not really hitting the mark there.
Mhm.
So you want to be thoughtful about what words you use, not just from a conversion perspective for your ideal target, but also from a search engine's perspective, so that it will rank you for the things that you really want to rank for. And so what are you talking about here that makes Google think that this is a page about a men's group or about a mastermind?
Mhm.
It's a lot about Zoom. There's a lot about breakout sessions and members and locations and other men and exploring topics and archives and private social network and Zoom. It's a lot of Zoom on this page.
Mhm.
All right. So if I were going to create some sort of campaign around getting people to refer their friends, I would probably want to create an incentive of some sort, not one that's monetary, but something that is kind of based on like a social contract. Because if there was a study done, I think it was here in Israel, where they found that parents picking up their kids from daycare would come a little bit late sometimes, and that would be a problem for the workers. They'd have to stick around and not be able to close up and leave and go home to their families. And what they found in this study was by changing the kind of punishment from just giving them a hard time, there's like a social contract. Hey, I'm here by myself and with your kid and nobody else, and every light is out except for 2. And you feel bad coming up and picking up your kid, but they instituted a policy where they charged a penalty fee, and then people were late all the time.
Mhm.
And you think, why would people late for their kids if they actually got a monetary penalty for showing up late? It's because that changed the social contract. No longer felt like they didn't feel bad anymore. They just like, oh, well, there's a cost and I can afford that cost. It's a really important meeting. I'm just going to stay to the end of this meeting.
Right.
So you got to think about what's the incentive, and the incentive shouldn't be monetary. It should be part of the social contract. Like, hey, we want to have a certain number of guys in the Saturday morning Zoom. We're not hitting 200 in the last few weeks. We want to hit at least 250, not just 200. And we want these guys to be super high quality. We want your friends, your colleagues and peers, not just random people. So can you go to this URL on the Metal site or click on that button on the Metal site to follow these instructions and send out these really nice invitations that send them to a funnel, which is part of the Metal site. And it's really classy and it gives them a really compelling offer. Like, I'm just riffing about this, but that would really enhance the ability for somebody to give a kind of a white glove treatment to one of their high level peers to experience Metal.
Mhm.
Have you thought about anything like that?
It seems like we started doing that, but maybe we're doing something differently than what you're talking about. We essentially tell the guys to send people to the website where their guest can click on get a guest request a guest pass, and now we have it automated so that when they request a guest pass, they receive the guest newsletter for that week.
Mm-hmm.
The one that you said that you were referring your guest to instead of the website. So
Right.
I think short of announcing that Ken or Will announcing it and asking the guys to do it, I think that we're doing what you're talking about. It seems like a white glove experience now compared to where it was, but what do you think?
Sure. Well, if I was sent directly to this URL, which I had done for a couple of people, but this was on the old site, there's really no value proposition conveyed. There's no context here. I don't even know who this guy is. Is this guy the founder? Is he the MC? What am I requesting a guest pass for? Like, what is this thing? And it's asking for all this, like, why is it asking all this personal information? Everything is a required field. What if I don't have a LinkedIn? That means I'm not allowed. I have to make something up here, like do that, or like, without conveying the value first, without providing that first impression. The danger is somebody is going to feel like, yeah, this isn't for me. I don't even know what this is. Whatever. Yeah, they're busy. They're super high level people, and they haven't been convinced.
Mhm.
So if people direct folks right here to this URL, this is not a great experience. If they direct them to the homepage and then say, well, you have to scroll down a little bit, but do that and go to click on the request a guest pass. I mean, you really need to have that front and center above the fold.
Mhm.
But let's say that you haven't done that yet. they're going to hope that the person follows those instructions, clicks on that request guest pass link, and while they're visiting the site, they see there's enough value there that makes them, intrigued and interested. But yeah, this is definitely better than it was, but it could be done in a way that it's super white glove in like a funnel, like a private invitation sort of experience.
Mhm.
If they if you gave a special URL to people and say, hey, this is how I want you to, or how we want you to invite people, and then it opens up this like special envelope or something that looks all classy, and it's like this animated thing, and then there's a video with Ken dropping some knowledge bombs and some social proof, and regaling the viewer with some storytelling and some anecdotes and so forth. That would be a much more powerful experience.
Mm.
So you're talking about a special landing page specifically?
Yep.
Referral landing.
And not just landing page, but funnel, because a landing page by itself is just a page to convey some information. If it's a squeeze page, then it's a page to collect an email address. If it's a page for a registration page, then it's it's got a different purpose. But the idea of a funnel is that you have a buyer journey that starts somewhere and then ends somewhere. And on the way, there are these milestones that happen that you can influence and coach and coax and coerce or whatever people to keep going further down that buyer journey. So that's why there are these things called indoctrination sequences, email sequences, where they get 3, 4, 5 emails over the course of a week. Like, hey, I still haven't seen that you've signed up for the Metal Saturday, or I saw you didn't show up on Saturday. Like, you'd have these sequences built out, trigger-based emails loaded up in well, you're using HubSpot, but I use Infusionsoft, so I would have it loaded in Infusionsoft. And so based on what the triggers are, either they show up or they don't show up, either they registered or they didn't register, either they continued down the path or not, then you coax them or do whatever to get the desired action out of them. And that's going to be so much more effective than just having a landing page and hoping for the best. And that has nothing to do with SEO. It's just good marketing.
Yeah.
It's funnels are key, and it's the buyer journey. It's just how people go from A to Z.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much that we didn't cover about SEO that we could have, but we're about out of time here. So I think, again, crawl, then walk, then run. This is super important to get right so that people will refer their friends, and then we can tune the SEO, and we can figure out what keywords people are searching for, and we can start posting some blog content and things like that to kind of fill the content repository and do some content marketing. But yeah, we're not there yet.
So you would say essentially that the first step for us would be to make this a really great journey for referrals for our internal network. That would be our first step before even looking at the SEO.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Great.
And always bear this in mind, that the visitor to your website is the hero in this journey, and you're the guide. You are not Luke Skywalker. Metal is not Luke Skywalker. The visitor is, You are Obi-Wan Kenobi. You are the one who has the map to the Death Star so that it can be destroyed. And the hero can only succeed with your help.
Yes.
So they're the ones that are going to be seeing themselves as the hero. And if you're trying to do what every other website does of touting the benefits and amazingness of your organization, you're taking that spot as the hero, and there's no room for the visitor to be the hero.
Wow.
Stefan, I can't thank you enough.
You're welcome. And we're
We're-
just getting started.
Oh, brother,
So
thank you.
valuable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.